This is MX versus ATV All Out. This is on the Nintendo Switch, and yeah, it's quite a rough looking experience and one that doesn't actually play very well either. So if you're not familiar with this series, it's quite long running, and it's had some rough times over the years. This is the latest effort that was just now ported over to the Switch. It's been available on other platforms, and it's really not that great of an experience. So we're just kind of fooling around here. This is sort of the open area where you kind of start off at. They have a variety of different areas you can go to in order just to kind of free race. There are a bunch of different racing options, and we're going to show that off in just a sec here as we get over this hill. So yeah, at any point you can just kind of press the plus. They got a photo mode, so that's kind of neat. Bunch of different event options, so that's more like your tournament style thing. There's no campaign or career or anything like that in this. Then we've got single events, which is what we're going to dive into and kind of show off all the different options. That's the meat of your experience. Online for up to 8 players. Locally, you can play 2-player split screen, time trials, and arcade action too. So single events, we got all these different options. We got Supercross there. You see the yellow icons are your DLC. It's weird that they're pushing those right at the top. But yeah, they've actually got, a decent selection of maps present. Again, this one entirely DLC there. This one looks like it's only DLC, but you get to the bottom and there's, a decent selection of maps. Now with the maps, a lot of them are kind of just chunks of the free open areas. So that's a little underwhelming, I suppose you could say. And we're just having problems with this thing backing out, the joys of Joy-Cons. And we're just going to quickly show off one of the great free ride areas, Emerald Key. So yeah, this is kind of my prime example of why the visuals in this are just absolutely ugly. I don't know if I can say this, but it basically looks like yeah, I do want you gone. Those tutorial things are annoying. The tutorials in this game are awful. Skip them and go right into the content. Seriously, they are really, really poorly done and boring. Anyways, like I was saying, PS2 era, if they were to take that and then basically run it in HD, so kind of those, ports we're seeing of the older Star Wars games, although I think those even look better than this. It's really rough, it's really badly edgy looking around the characters, the anti-aliasing and stuff. Very, very poorly implemented. The environments are super bland. The trees look awful. The pop-in is unreal during grass areas. Seriously, as you were seeing in the first kind of open area there, it's bad. The shadows, if they load in really slowly as you're going by. It's just atrocious. And then you get to the performance when you actually get into races, which we're showing in a sec, and that in itself is really bad too. Now, we've shown off that there's a good amount of events and stuff that you can play, but there's also all these cool customization options in regards to your vehicles and stuff. It's really quite neat. In these freestyle areas, you can sort of, change your ride on the fly, which is kind of cool. See, now we're in a different vehicle. And that was always the fun of the MX versus ATV series, is the fact that you get all these different vehicle options to choose from. There's a lot of different things to play with, and I guess that kind of got expanded upon over the years as the series went on. So it's kind of neat that you can do these different vehicles, and you can change on the fly, and there's all these tuning options. As we look here, we're gonna try to change the vehicle. There we go, we'll do the 250, but you can see here, you change the engine types. I don't know if it's got different engine types, but you get to see all these different kind of tweaks you can make, and the visual elements of it too, the aesthetics. It's kind of neat. And with that, we are going to jump into a race. So yeah, this is the general racing experience, and you're going to see that the performance is not great. And this is what the meat of your actual time would be, is playing these, and I've played quite a number of them, and none of them run very well. There are difficulty options present if you want to adjust that in order to make it a little bit easier on yourself. And yeah, I think visually, whether you're, undocked, that being mobile, or you're docked on the big screen, it just really doesn't look good in either version. It's a little bit better in mobile, but it's still quite rough to take in, and again, performance not fantastic, not a highlight of this at all. And I think, you know, at least in my opinion, that performance would be the basic thing you could get right if your game looks this awful. And I think that's a real shame. I hope that the Switch is capable of more than this. I think I've seen graphics that look a little bit better and at least run a little bit better than this one. And it's just not again, I'll say, you know, there's a decent amount of content present in this one, you know, across all the different races and the freestyle options and the, you know, series if you want to do those. It's just the gameplay loop of, you know, riding these motorcycles should feel thrilling. It should be fun. It should feel intense. The physics should feel good, which they don't here. And it's just like, you know, what is going on? The series just feels like it's had a complete fall from grace over the years, and I don't know if this is like the direction that it should go. I don't understand why they bothered with this. I think a direct Switch-only version would have been more appropriate for this platform, at least given the series, the quality that it does deserve, as they are just like racing right by me here. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to talk about this. But yeah, you know, I guess if you want to experience this type of game, this might be the way to do it on Switch, I guess. It feels really, really bad to handle. It looks really awful, and the performance is just kind of a little bit nauseating to a degree. I don't know if you're kind of noticing that, if that's coming through on the YouTube player, but yeah, it's just, it's kind of hard because of that. It honestly is, just because it's so like uneven and not smooth in the slightest. But I think they get, you know, the quantity of vehicles right, the selection of tracks right. It's just the core gameplay itself doesn't complement that very well, which is disappointing. And I think with that, we'll switch to another track just to show off something a little bit different. So we switched to a different circuit here to show off a little bit of a different map. But overall, you know, it loads slowly. It doesn't look very good. I don't like how it plays. I've played a number of motorcycle type games and supercross, and while I'm not a huge fan of this type of sporting event, I've seen other versions and other takes on this type of sport that are just so much better implemented. And I know that that's been through another, you know, console platform, but I still think that that experience can be a lot better than this, because I know that this was available on other consoles a couple of years back, and even then it was, you know, not a great experience. So to see this ported here and, you know, loading slowly, not running well, having bad performance, and not being fun, it's just really, really boring, which is, I think, a bit of a shame, because there is the potential for this game to just, you know, be very good on this platform, and it just really isn't. It's not handling well, it's not looking good, and I'm just like kind of puzzled by the combination of issues that are present in this one, where you're like, oh, well, what were they, you know, kind of thinking here? I need to ride these bumps better. But yeah, just so many little things kind of come together, and it's a shame, because I think they've got, you know, the content down, the amount of things you can do in it, but they don't have the proper gameplay or the fun gameplay, and that in itself is a bit of a shame. Ugh. And I also think it's hilarious, if you look over there, they've got like, I guess, a trailer for the game running up in the crowd. You see that on a couple of the different you know, courses. It's got the rated R or RP, so rating pending on the ERSRB. I think that's kind of funny little thing in the background just to have there. Just running their own trailer for the game partially. It's kind of funny. But yeah, you look out into the crowd over there, and it's just even the smaller details aren't exactly well done. You can even cheat quite a bit too on the tracks in regards to like kind of going off of things. And it's just this combination of stuff that comes together in a way that is incredibly unsatisfying and just not enjoyable to see. So yeah, not a big fan of this one, not having a good time with it, and getting bored of it very, very quickly, because I think that this series should have more to it. It used to be really, really great. It used to be a lot of fun, and now it's just kind of like, I was really done with it not too long into the gameplay of this one, which is a shame because, you know, this used to be something that was so exciting to jump into, so cool, almost like the benchmark for this type of sporting game, and now, you know, you're just kind of dealing with something that looks old, runs poorly, and is disappointing. Yeah, and the tutorials are awful. I hate the tutorials in this so much.